Hey guys, this is Joe with the Adapt team. In this video, I'm talking about activation. Of course, activation is where we are now saying, okay, yep, this program that I've been testing on and is maybe configured and ready to go, I'm now ready to deploy this program to my on-site processor, and I want this program to run indefinitely, right? This is going to be in somebody's home. I want this to run indefinitely. So here's how this all works. Step one in our activation process, if you will, is to make sure that your Adapt license is in your Adapt boot up module in Simple Windows. This is one of the first things we did, but essentially your Adapt license is your customer number, so to speak, and it's used to generate processor keys that will only work with your Adapt license. So essentially you can't use somebody else's processor key because they probably don't have your Adapt license. And then you're going to want to compile that program and load it, kind of like we've already done. Now, while this is all going on, or I guess really whenever you want, the next thing you want to do is purchase your processor key from your dealer portal on adaptcrestron.com. That's our website. And as a reminder, your Adapt processor key is what's used on a per project basis and is what's linked to your Adapt license. And so what we mean by per project is this is what is new on each project. One job site uses one processor key, the next job site uses another processor key. And this is the same way of saying that processor keys are quote unquote consumed once they're activated, meaning they can only be activated one time. And so once we've got that key, we're going to copy that key. I think we actually send it to you in an email, but copy that key, and then we're going to go into System Manager and paste that processor key on our activation page and hit Activate. Now this will start the process of activation, but you're going to want to make sure that your Adapt program is currently in demo mode, meaning that you can currently use the system. If demo mode has expired, you're going to want to reset the program and retry activation. Essentially, you cannot activate if your demo mode has expired, so make sure to reset it if that is the case. And once you hit that activation button or that activate button, that's where your processor will make its only kind of reach out to the web. So your processor will actually reach out to our Adapt activation server and validate that your processor key matches up with your Adapt license, essentially that you purchased that processor key, and it also makes sure that that processor key hasn't been used before. And obviously, since this is reaching out to the internet now, you want to make sure that your processor has internet access and can resolve DNS addresses, meaning it can resolve google.com into its IP address. And if activation is successful, the activation server will return what we call an activation key that kind of confirms successful activation. This activation key kind of gets paired up with your processor key, and it's this pair that gets validated at subsequent boot ups, and it bypasses this processor having to go through this process all again. And so after you've activated once, you should be good to go, and now you've got this activation key and processor key pair that go together, and the processor says, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool, this processor key was previously activated, so I don't need to reach out to the server again. So let's see how this all comes together. What I've got is I've got our training residence program loaded up to my processor, and again, we want to make sure that we are only activating the processor that will be deployed on site. There is this idea that you activate a processor and it's that processor that consumes your processor key. So you want to make sure that you are only activating the processors that will go on site. Obviously, the first thing we want to check is we have our Adapt license, and in fact we do already have that in our boot up module. It's in our program, good to go. And so now we're going to want to take our processor key. I've got my processor key right here. You can always tell the difference between your your Adapt license. You can tell it's like this. It's got a longer number to start, and then 4 digits, and then 2 digits, and then 1 digit, compared to our processor key is simply 5 chunks of 5 characters in it, so you can visually tell these apart. And so I'm going to take that processor key, I'm going to paste it right here in my processor key field on my activation page. I'm going to hit Online Activate. Now, System Manager will keep track of what's going on in activation and kind of display that information for me right here. However, I always like to watch in console. I like to make sure I understand what's happening, and it kind of clues us in a little bit better. So here you can see we have a valid processor key. Processor has even spit out its DNS entries, so we can verify that those are in fact there. And here the processor reached out to our server. The server said, okay, yeah, activation was successful. We received our activation key and we are never going to expire, and activation is now complete. If we were to look back into our main system manager page, we would see this activation key here on our activation page, and now our processor is activated and will remain active indefinitely, so we never have to worry about this again. Hopefully this explains activation, and we will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.